Healing in Heels podcast is a safe place to openly discuss, share, and explore areas in our lives where the full lifestyle of healing can reside. Join us as the Healing in Heels team opens the floor for real discussions and conversations about the things we think we know. Hello, and welcome back to the Healing in Heels podcast. I am your host, Christina, with our special guest today, Elder Veronica Finley. Hey, Mother.
Hi,
How you
I'm
doing?
doing great. How about yourself?
I'm all right.
Okay,
I'm
very
all
good.
right. I'm all right.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, thank you for joining
Yeah.
because it's an honor to sit at Mother's table.
Oh,
It's
bless you.
that's a real honor. Everybody don't get to do it, so I'm really honored. I don't know why that how I'm doing question made me feel some type of way right then. I think I think I'm in the process.
Okay.
I think I'm in the process. Yeah, we gonna talk about restoration. We ain't gonna get ahead of ourselves, but it's a process. Okay, it's definitely a process.
Yes, it
Today,
is.
we're gonna talk about restoration when you have really no idea what
Mm,
it looks like.
yeah.
Sometimes we're in a space where we know that what we have isn't it. Like we
Hmm.
know this ain't how it really should be, but we really have never seen a good example of how it should go.
Yeah.
Disclaimer. First of all, my mother is the goat. Let's be clear. Let's be absolutely clear. My mother is the goat. Okay, best mother in the entire world. I love you, mother. Best mother in the entire
Oh,
world.
bless your
Okay,
heart.
um, and so these discussions are not to condemn anybody or make anyone feel like what they offered was not enough. I was watching Oprah one time before, and she made a statement. She was talking to Bishop T.D. Jakes, and she made this statement about capacity,
Mhm.
and she was talking about because the relationship with her mother wasn't like absolutely amazing, and so she made this statement that really kind of stuck with me. She talked about her mother gave all she had,
Yeah.
and it's like having a teaspoon measuring device and you filling it up
Yeah.
and dumping it in a huge bowl.
Oh, wow.
And she said that's basically what the mother did. It was everything that she had. She gave what she had, but compared to the capacity of who Oprah Winfrey was and now is,
Yeah.
it was the equivalent of a teaspoon.
Yeah.
And so we can oftentimes look at people like, you didn't give me whatever I needed. You didn't measure up in whatever way, etc. Moving on. And it's it's unfair.
The way I look at that is if that teaspoon was all she had to give, she gave that.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely agree with that.
Even though she required much, much more. But if that's all I have to give today, I'm going to give that.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we misjudge people and what they offer and we kind of give stereotypes to things, whether it's the dad missing, whether it's the mother who didn't hug you or
Yeah.
whatever the excuse is, right? We give um, a label to it and we
Yes,
allow it to become part of our identity and we
absolutely.
make it a part of ourselves. When I was younger, my great aunt used to make handmade quilts and she would piece the quilt together is how she
Yes.
called it, and she would basically design each square
Hmm.
and then she would piece the squares together. And I think to some degree that is what we do with our identity when things happen in our lives and people have different encounters with us.
Hmm.
We knit those
Yeah.
into our life story, and sometimes we do so unfairly. Like we do that unfairly, and I think that hinders us when it comes to restoration. It makes us feel like I have all these broken mismatched pieces.
Hmm.
I remember this one blanket my aunt made. It was my favorite blanket ever, but she would take like old drapes and
Yeah.
old sheets and like old curtains, and
Hmm.
she would cut different parts out. And she made this quilt. I call it my puppy dog quilt. And it had a patch from some old handkerchiefs she had, and
Yeah.
a patch. One ear was from that, and one ear might have been from a, like from a piece of drapery, and one piece might have been from a sheet. And it was all these little mismatched pieces that made this puppy dog face. And sometimes we look at our lives and we go, I have all these broken pieces,
Right.
all of these things that just don't fit together. I'm this loving, bubbly person, but my mother doesn't like hugs.
Mhm.
Or I'm this strong Black woman, but my dad, he didn't do this or didn't do that. He wasn't there in my life.
Yeah.
Or I turned out to be, some drunk and alcoholic, but it was because my dad did it or my
Yeah.
mom did it, or my first drink came from a cousin or an uncle who was supposed to be
Mhm.
watching me, or the first time I was touched wasn't in romance and marriage, it was by someone who was supposed to be babysitting me. And,
Yeah.
and we take these little pieces that don't feel good, look good, and we knit them together as part
Mhm.
of who we are, and we hold on to it for dear life.
Yeah.
And we use it just like I did that blanket for
Mhm.
comfort. And so it's hard to be restored when you won't release
Yeah.
all the pieces to God, who can make it into a beautiful blanket.
And so often we use those pieces to identify who we are,
Yeah,
and that's not who we are.
yeah,
Those are just things that happen in our lives, and it is developing us, if we allow it to, into who God created us to be,
yeah, yeah. I agree with that. That's if you allow.
if you allow.
And if you
That's
show up,
very
yeah, if you
important.
show up to places that allow it.
Yes.
Because one thing when studying for this conference, April the 25th, by the way, if you have not gotten your ticket, get your
Yes.
ticket. April the 25th, 2026 at Adamsville Love Fellowship Christian Center Church. And we will be at 1150 Hillcrest Road, and it is at 10 a.m. So get your tickets. If you have not done so, go to my page, get your tickets today. But when you go into restoration, it matters the environment. It
Absolutely.
matters the people who are around you. It
Mhm.
matters the atmosphere that you're in. You don't restore a beautiful, unique, antique device. I saw this video of them restoring a sewing machine,
Mhm.
and it was, all the metal and heaviness, but it was rusted, and the pedals didn't work anymore, and the wheel didn't spin anymore because it had been, rusted and stuck together, and the screws were loose, and they took it piece by piece
Yeah.
and they restored it, and it ended up being just like it was brand new. But I noticed that when they got ready to do the restoration, they put it inside this room that was covered in plastic all the way around,
Okay.
because they didn't want any of the outside elements to
Mhm.
come in contact with it while it was taking it apart. So you need to be in a safe space to be restored,
True.
because you don't need to be exposed in
Right.
open atmosphere. Anything and everything can attack you, attach to you,
Mhm.
cause you more harm than
True.
good. So when you're in environments like the conference where we seal it off,
Yeah.
there's no judgment that can come in
Right.
and attack you. There's no condemnation that can come in and
Right.
and see your scars and your brokenness or your tears or your pain and attach anything more negative to that. Talk to me about you and your growing up. How was your childhood in relation to how you ended up mothering yourself? How did that
Oh,
compare?
that's a very interesting question. I am number 10 of 11 children.
Oh, wow.
So, as you know, normally in a family, the next to the youngest child usually find themselves spending a lot of time by themselves.
Mhm.
And I did that. And I am, even today, I have to remind myself of my places of grief,
Mhm.
areas in my life that I have grieved, that I long to have that covering
Mhm.
from my 8 sisters that I had. It was, well, 8 in all, including me. So 7 sisters. Yes, I wanted that covering, their knowledge, their wisdom to be poured into me
Mhm.
so that basically I wouldn't have to experience a lot of things they
Yeah.
experience. Give me that knowledge firsthand. I had an aunt that used to tell me all the time, Veronica, bought sense is better than talk. Well, no, talk sense is better than bought sense. If you
Hmm.
just listen, you'll get what you need and you won't have to go through critical situations to and life experiences on a negative side to get the knowledge that you need. And I believe that because I long for that from my in my childhood, from my family, from my sisters, and I didn't get that. I learned that, okay, I have to grieve that now
Hmm.
because I
Hmm.
never got that.
Yeah.
Possibly will never get it. So that's a place I can't go back to.
Right.
So when I look at that, it's like, how can I give that to my children? How can I? And even in this season of my life, I've decided when you leave my presence, whatever I say, I want it to be a positive.
Hmm.
I don't want what I say or what I do to be in such a way to where that could be possibly be the last thing you ever
Right.
hear
Right.
from me. And if it's not on a positive, I don't want those words to be landing in your life like that.
Yeah.
I want it to be on a good note. I want you to know I appreciate you.
Oh,
I thank God for you and the work that you're doing,
thank you.
healing in heals.
Thank you.
It's an amazing ministry, and I thank God for that.
Thank
If I can sow that into your life, and those are the last words you hear from me, no, I believe in Psalms 91
you.
with long
Right.
life.
Right.
He
Yeah,
will
we ain't going
satisfy me.
nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. But just in
Yeah.
case.
So I just that is something that I am intentional about. What am I saying? What am I allowing others to hear from me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I want it
good.
to be a positive.
That's good. I think that sometimes we take things that are lacking in our lives and we label things so wrong. When God gave me Healing and Heals, his entire structure was, Christina, I don't need you to learn the Bible verbatim in Greek, Hebrew, and be able to slay giants and all of it. I just need you to focus on what you already know.
Yeah.
If you'll just come sit down and talk to me about what you think
Mhm.
you know, that's enough for us to get from here to glory. I
Yeah.
promise. Sometimes we get so, when I first got saved, my thought was, I need to know everything about God, everything about the Bible,
Mhm.
all the hermeneutics and all the, all the versions. And I need to know the Bible
Yeah.
front and back, because if I don't know it, then I'm lacking in my faith, and
Yeah.
I'm lacking in loving God and all the things. And so if I'm missing something, he can't use me.
Yeah.
But that's not true.
That's not true.
That is not
He take
true.
us just as we
Just
are.
as we are. And we sometimes do the same thing in our
Mhm.
lives. We disqualify ourselves because
Yeah.
we feel like we don't have all that it takes.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us really believe we don't have anything.
True.
It's kind of like the woman who had the oil, and the prophet asked her,
Mhm.
he went, and the husband had died, and he had worked with the prophet, and she was like, look, my husband dead. They can take my boys. Like, I'm gonna need you to figure out something. He worked for
Mhm.
you and
Yeah.
God. Like, I've done all these things.
Yes.
I've supported the
Mhm.
ministry, and I
Yes.
and I did this and I did that, and now I have a problem, and I don't have enough to deal with it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, just tell me, what do you have? You talking to me about what you don't have.
Yeah.
Just tell me what you do have.
That's it.
And she said, well, I just got this little pot of oil, and that's it. And he was like, bring me what you have. He
Yes.
never even discussed with her what she didn't have.
Mhm.
Never discussed the debt, never discussed the deficit,
No.
never discussed the pending problem, nothing. Just tell me what you got.
Yeah.
And here's the plan. Right?
And that's how God is. He
Yeah.
tell us, just come to me. In our faith, we believe in God's extended grace, his amazing grace. And so we extend that to others.
Yeah.
How often do we give ourselves that same grace?
It is the worst in the world. I think I was telling you the other day, I was like, it's so easy for us to give of
Yes.
everything we have,
Mhm.
and we rarely ever sit down and eat.
Yeah.
You bake cakes and stuff, and they're so delicious. And I will sit here and you'll be like, oh, I need to make a cake for such and such, and I need to make a cake for such and such. I have rarely ever, if ever, if I'm wrong, Holy Spirit, remind me. I've never heard you say, I'm gonna make this cake for me.
Oh,
And I'm
rarely
just
do I.
like, that's most of us. The very gifts that we
Mhm.
have, we so freely give them to
Yes.
others. We so freely prepare them and make them tailored to them.
Yeah.
If you like this one, I'll give you that. If you like it this way, I'll give you that. If if you want this version, I'll give you that. And I'll take all my time, my energy, my strength, my passion, my love. I'll give that all to you. But rarely ever do we say, but this is what I would like, and I'm going to fix that same energy that I give to those. I want to fix that, and I want to sit down and eat it for myself.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to restoration, that's one of the things God wants to restore to us. It's us,
Yes.
because we give it out so freely.
Yes.
I think it was Bishop S.Y. Younger who said, an older mother told him, she said, I just watch you preaching. I watch you preaching. You're so amazing. Your ministry is so great. But I heard this statement, so it makes me pray for you. He said, well, Mother, what was the statement? And she said, I heard that every room you go in, you leave a piece of yourself behind. And I wonder when you get home, how much do you have left for you? And restoration is about giving you back too.
Yeah.
It's not just about you getting your joy back. Yes, we want you to do that. It's not about you just getting your peace back. Yes, we want you to do that. But God wants to give you back. You, the pieces of you've given out to the world, and you didn't get time to enjoy those pieces yourself. I pray that for you. I pray that God gives you back. You.
Okay.
You. I want him to give you back. You.
And God is doing that in such an amazing way. And even to the point where I was sharing earlier about my words that I speak. Because sometimes when we have, like you were talking about the quilt and all the awkward pieces, all the pieces that's broken, and you think that it doesn't fit,
Yeah.
and we have all those broken pieces in our lives, and sometimes we release that brokenness in ways we're not even aware
Right.
that I've hurt you,
Mhm.
I've disappointed you, I said something that, I can't take those words back. So that's why I want to be intentional.
Yeah.
I want to be impactful.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. That's my goal. And I want you guys, I know there's like 1,000 conferences, millions of conferences, and I am definitely not one of the people who just advocate just doing events to do events. When we were going over the team discussion for all the people who are going to be there to support the conference, one of the things I made sure to encourage them to remember is that we don't do events. This is not just another program for people to attend. This is not just another thing that you can feel on your Saturday schedule if you have nothing to do. This is a move of God.
Yeah.
And we will steward that moment
Yeah.
well. This is not just oh, put on your best high heel shoe. Matter of fact, if you don't wear them, don't wear them. Like people inbox me all the time, like, I don't wear heels. Okay. It has nothing to
Yes.
do with your attire on the
Right.
outside. It has everything to do
Mhm.
with your entire dress on the inside.
Okay.
And what shoe you have on, I don't care. What I do care about is you getting in the room, because we are creating a space for God to do something miraculous. And I know that He's going to blow our minds. And I'm
Christina,
excited.
say more about healing in heels, the purpose, and
I love God, and I really wish that I could say that this was some kind of amazing idea that I came up with. It is not. It is absolutely the farthest thing from what I came up with. Healing in Heels started because we were sitting in a watch night service. Now, for those of you do not know what watch night service is, if you're not uh, acquainted with the African American church, we do something called watch night service on New Year's Eve. And basically, it is a service to watch the new year in.
Yes.
And to be honest, some of the traditions behind it is that in case the Lord decided not to bring another year, we'd be in his house. So that was some of it. But
Mm,
I was sitting in watch night service and pastor was preaching. And all of a sudden, it was like I was sitting in a movie.
mm,
And in this movie, we were at this amazing conference, and it was red colors everywhere, and there was high heel shoes, all the decor and all this stuff. And I was just like, "Oh, this is cute," and it said "Healing in Heels." And
okay.
I was like, "Oh, well, this is something I should be at because I love a good high heel. I
Mhm.
probably got at least 4 pair in my car right now,
Okay.
just in case I feel the mood to put one on. I have a couple of spares." And so I was like, "Oh, this is cute. I need to get my ticket. The Lord is telling
Yes.
me find this conference. I need to get there."
Mhm.
And so I'm Googling in church. Don't get mad at me because I had my phone out. But I was Googling in church trying to find this Healing in Hills conference. And the Lord let me do it for about 3 minutes.
Okay.
Couldn't find anything.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, maybe it's going to pop up later.
Okay.
He's like, are you done? I was like, well, I mean, yeah, I was just trying to go ahead and get it now.
Okay.
And so he said, well, it's a conference based on a book. And I was like, oh, so I need to find the book to find the
Mm,
conference.
okay.
And he was like, you through? I'm like, yeah, I guess.
Okay.
You're doing the book and the conference. I was like, whoa,
Oh,
whoa, whoa,
God is so
whoa.
amazing.
Whoa, what you mean? He was like, yeah, yeah, you're
Mhm.
gonna do all of that. It blew my mind.
Mhm.
He was like, calm down.
Mhm.
Just write it down.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. It felt like the moment when you fuss at your kids in public and like just wait till we get home.
Yeah.
I felt like that. I felt like that. Honestly, I was just like, I
Yes.
don't know if I want to wait. Like, give it to
Okay.
me now. Fast forward, he was like, I just want to talk to you about what you love so much, which at that time was high heel shoes.
Okay.
So I started looking up the definition of healing and I
Mhm.
did look up the definition of heels. And when I discovered that high heels were never made for women,
Mhm.
I was blown. We talked about Prince when he
Yeah.
wore the heels and
Yeah.
all the things and oh, men in heels. And
Yes.
then we had the era of the 70s where guys were wearing
Mhm.
platform and
Yeah.
heels and it was just like, oh, that's such a thing. It blew my mind, but I kind of been somewhat familiar. So I was just
Okay.
like, okay, well, I kind of knew that. And then I looked up the history of
Mhm.
heels, and this is where things got real. God pointed out to me that the high heel shoe was never designed for fashion. It actually was made for male warriors.
Okay.
The shoe was designed so that your foot would stand sturdy in a
Mhm.
stirrup. Now, when you break that down, a horse is moving
Yeah.
and it's always unstable. And a heel is designed to stabilize you in
Okay.
an unstable situation.
Mhm.
And I was like, most people can't walk in heels because they feel
Right.
unstable.
That's true.
So I was like, wait a minute, God, hold on. He was like, yeah, that's because they changed the design.
Yeah.
That is when he started breaking down to me how that is so similar to what we do
Mhm.
in our lives.
Okay.
We take on things that were never designed to be
Mhm.
used like they're being used, and then we complain about them.
Right.
We say they cause us discomfort,
Mhm.
they cause us pain in our body, and they cause us to be unstable. But if we use things the way they were originally designed for the
Right.
purpose they were designed for,
Mhm.
then that wouldn't be the case.
And we'll get different results
And
than
so,
what we're
yeah, and he
getting.
was like, well, what have you taken on in your life
Yeah.
that you adapted?
Mm.
I meant for your voice to be used for the masses, for me to speak through you.
Yeah.
But you started speaking words that weren't mine.
Yeah.
I meant for you to use your beauty to walk into rooms that would bring you before people that could hear the voice that I put in you.
Correct.
But you let it be perverted
Mhm.
and you started being vain. I meant for your strong will to be used to stand on my word, but you took your strong will and tried to impose your
Mhm.
opinions on other people.
Okay.
And it became uncomfortable. It started causing pain where I meant for these things to be good.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where we circle back to Joseph. And
Mhm.
he talks about in Genesis 50 about, Joseph was like, told his brothers, what you meant for evil,
Mhm.
God meant for good.
Yes.
And that's the foundation
Yeah.
of healing and heals. It's really healing in the things we think we know. Because most of the time, if we dig a little bit deeper,
Yeah.
we'll find out the thing we're complaining about
Yeah.
was really meant for our good. And if we walk in it from that place,
Yeah.
then the heal has no problem. It's a
Yeah.
great victory.
Mhm.
But that's the ministry of healing and heals.
That is a great way to go into this next um, encounter,
Yeah.
is what I hear. An encounter with God later this month
Yeah.
at the conference, Return to Manufacture.
Yeah.
Returning all of those things that we chose to pick up,
Yep.
that God never intended for us to even have in our lives as a part of who we are.
Yeah.
So we let Him mold us, make us, fulfill that purpose in us.
Yeah.
I'm excited about um, returning things to the manufacturer,
Yeah.
because when God does a work,
Yeah.
He does an excellent work. And I'm just expecting Him to just have a God encounter, a God experience
Yeah.
in the lives of the people that attend. I had the opportunity to attend your very
Very
first.
first. Yes.
Yes.
It's full circle.
And it was a God encounter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. God showed up and he really, really showed out. And we expect him to do even greater works
Yes.
in this one. And I'm so excited to have you and your amazing daughter, Lydia, on the panel. We are going to get to have some discussions about generational restoration.
Yeah.
Like you said, the things that you didn't necessarily get from the generation and the group prior to you, being able to adjust and pass on what you did want to have.
Yes.
And they'll be able to pass on what they got from you and add to that. And
Mhm.
I'm excited that restoration will take place, not just for us individually, but it will touch our entire bloodlines.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to see what God is going to do with that. And I'm excited for the guys to be in the room
Okay. Yeah.
because they are going to be able to heal too. We have a portion of our ministry called He Heals Too.
Okay.
And it's double meaning because
Yes.
when a guy heals, he doesn't
Mhm.
just heal himself. He
Yeah.
heals really two
Okay.
things. He heals himself
Mhm.
individually and he heals the family that is attached to him.
Yes.
So when a man heals, because
Mhm.
he's the head of the house,
Yeah.
he heals himself and the house.
Total restoration.
Yeah, it's a total.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. Men, if you have not gotten your
Yes.
tickets, get your tickets and get them for your family. We have space for the men, the women, and the children. We're leaving no stone unturned. We want everyone to encounter this restoration with God. And April 25th will be the day that we do that. 10 o'clock, 1150 Hillcrest Road here in Adamsville, Alabama. We are super, super excited to have you. Mother, I'm going to ask one final question of you before we head out, because just sitting at your table creates an atmosphere of wisdom, and I'm honored to sit at it. So I gotta pull from it.
Okay.
If there was one thing that you could name that you would like to see restored in your family,
Mhm.
what would that be?
There has always been family gatherings, not just from one unit of the family, but the entire family. And basically that comes in when the elder of the family is there. Everyone wants to come in, right?
Mhm.
um, and so we all, as I said earlier, I'm number 10 of 11. So we would all come together at my mom's, even though she's no longer with us. Um, we still have the opportunity to come together as a family under her umbrella.
Mm.
And that is some things, rather than just at family reunions
Yeah.
or sad occasions, we may come together, but just to get together at happy times,
Yeah.
just to say, I love you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I like
It's
that.
good to see you.
Yeah.
So I guess that's an assignment for me to kind of make that happen. You know, when things like that comes up, you just have to put it in motion and just let it be a part of your life. So I am looking forward to getting together with my sisters later this month.
Good.
And well, it's going to be in May. So yeah, so we are going to do some things. So yeah.
That's
But that
good.
is one thing that family should always come together. Don't isolate by family unit, but come together as a family.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I know that's one thing the enemy always attacks
Hmm.
is the family unit because a house divided, that's
Yes,
the Bible, it
yes,
cannot
it
stand.
will not.
And so if we want our homes to stand,
Hmm.
in order for our communities to
Hmm.
stand, in order for our states and our nations and our
Hmm.
world to stand,
Hmm.
we have to start with the family
That's
unit.
it.
And I am an advocate for family. And
Yes.
that's why we make sure that every conference we do is able to support an entire family. Whether you're the single mom, the single dad, whether you're husband and wife with the kids, whether the kids have gotten older and
Yeah.
grown, whether you are at home alone, whether you're married, whether you're single, it does not matter. Come
Mhm.
and be a part of
Yeah.
our family. If
Yeah.
no other day, come and join us on that day. Well, Mother, it has been an honor
But thank
to
you.
sit at your table and
Oh,
glean from you. I am so excited to have you guys on the panel and be in the room on that day. And I'm so excited you allowed us to sit with you at your table.
well, it has been my pleasure. And I hope that I have said something that has been edifying and beneficial.
You always do. You
Yeah.
always do. Well, guys, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of Healing in Heels. I want to make sure that if you have not gotten your tickets, take a moment to go ahead and go to our website and get your tickets today. We do not want to miss out the opportunity to offer you a chance. The QR code is at the top. So feel free to pause the screen, scan the code, and get you and your family's tickets today. It is April the 25th, 1150 Hillcrest Road in Adamsville, Alabama. And we want to see you at Restoration 2026. Until the next time, we want to say it is always a pleasure to heal in the things you think you know. Have a great day.